Hello everyone on YouTube, internet painters, modelers, and people who accidentally clicked on this link. Alright, so I've been seeing a lot of people asking about airbrushes. What should I get? I'm looking for an airbrush. What's a good airbrush? Now, this video is really focused on the people that are looking for a high-end airbrush. Something that's going to be very versatile for them, that's going to be able to fill multiple roles. And honestly, this is not an airbrush to get if you're looking to base your models, if you're looking to just tinker with it. This is something that you get if you're really seriously going to airbrush. Now, what I'm talking about is the Harder and Steenbeck Infinity. As you can see on the video in front of you, I have utilized the Ironheart Artisan's brush rack to kind of hold the airbrush so I don't have to sit there and have it in my hands and be in your way. Here in a moment, I'll switch out and I'll actually take hold of the airbrush and show you some of the really cool features. All right, now as you see, that's how the airbrush came. It has the medium-sized paint cup. It's got the 0.1. Now, the only difference is when I first got it, it had the 0.15 needle in it. Right now, I'm running the 0.4 needle because I was doing some basing work. But the cool thing about this airbrush is it's really high quality all the way around. The craftsmanship, you hold it in your hand, you can tell it's a high quality airbrush. It's not like cheap Masters or some of the other airbrushes out there that are basically throwaway airbrushes. It is a dual action, so you can control the airflow. Now, for those that don't know, what dual action means is that you control when the air turns on and it turns off, and you also control how much paint comes out. A single action is you control how much you can control when the air turns on, but the paint is dialed in, and so as soon as you hit air, paint's coming out. This way you can actually push down on here to get air going, and then pull back on it to control how much paint. Now, as a miniature airbrush, that's what you want right there. You want a dual action. Now, there's mixed feelings on whether you want a siphon feed or you want a gravity feed. That's a gravity feed because the paints get pulled down into the cup. Siphon feeds pulled in from the bottom. Now, there is an Infinity from Harder and Steenbeck that is a siphon feed, so now you can actually go either way. And I'm actually looking at picking up an Infinity siphon feed to replace my Iwata Neo, maybe. Not 100% on that. I do like the fact that I could use the same needles and parts all the way across all my airbrushes, so it really is. All right, now some really cool parts that you get with it. You get a larger airbrush thing, or paint reservoir. I ordered this. This does not come with the kit. It's something that I ordered separately. This is to go into here to take the paint airbrush fully apart. This is like a splatter guard, and this is for something you put on the tip for like graphic artists and stuff to get like straight lines. And I'll go over all this stuff. So, all right. So now I'm going to go ahead and move the cool air paintbrush rack and get a little bit more hands-on. Now, the one cool feature I really liked about this airbrush is most airbrushes have dials, and this right here controls how far you can make the needle go back. It's a needle limiter. See, you can only pull the needle back so far. And it's really good once you get dialed into, like, if you're doing shading or lines on a model and you got that perfect sweet spot that you get for that wash or that particular mix, and it's all numbered as well. So you can actually write down which one you like. Now, the downside is with a lot of airbrushes, once you adjust it, and you have to pull the needle all the way out to clear a blockage or something, you have to undial it, which can really throw your game off. Now, the one thing I like about this, and I do believe Iwata has something similar as well, is you can pull this out just like that, and you get full range of motion. And you just simply push it back in. That's one of the cooler features, and the handle is pretty precision when it comes to where it goes. So once, if you screw it all the way in, it pretty much stops at the same spot every single time, and it has since I've gotten this. Now, as you can tell from the different paint cups that are sitting here, the paint cup is removable. Now, for those that don't know, this makes cleaning really, really easy. And now this is your general purpose, holds a few mils paint, and it's really easy to see. You have to be careful not to cross thread. So as you can see, it doesn't have a very high profile, so you can see over it easier whenever you're painting. Now, if you're doing base work, which a second ago when I was doing base work, this is the one actually I had on. When you're doing base work, this is good because you don't need to see exactly where you're spraying it. You just, and it goes. And you can see from the profile that it's definitely higher. So it's not as easy to see over. Now, finally, and this, every time, I swear, I go to switch these out, I drop them. Every time. All right, this is a good one. Now, you could just drop paint in there, but what happens is you get paint buildup on the threads, which can be a real pain when it comes to leaking and stuff. So this basically is just something to protect the threads. It just goes in like this. It's a little, turns it into a little, natural reservoir into a little paint cup. And as you can see, very low profile. Now, you don't get a lot of paint in there, but you can see it's nice. And I'm going to go ahead and leave that one on there for now. Now, another cool feature is this right here. You know, typically, you'll see a lot of people paint with no tip on, and that's so they can get the needle and clean it off real easy. This one, as you see, it's a cutaway. Now, I know people who've been modding their airbrushes to do the same thing with some of the fork crowns for Iwatas and stuff, but this way you can just do it right there. You just pinch it and it comes right off. Now, go ahead and take the handle off. You can see it goes on there really good, but it screws right off. I'm going to go ahead and retract the needle just a little bit. I'm not going to pull it all the way out, just a little bit so I can protect the needle. All right, now the cool thing is the prong thing comes right off. And if you want to, you slide this on. Now what this does, it has a little hole in there, and I need to really clean it. But whenever you're airbrushing, all the paint only comes out that little hole, which makes it really, really nice, really handy. Keeps it from a lot of overspray from happening. So that's a really useful tool that comes with it. Then you have this right here. Now this is mainly for illustrators, and oh, give me a quick second. And it makes it where if you're painting something, you can put this up against it and keep it a nice, really straight line, and it keeps it uniformly above the surface too. Haven't really found a use for it in miniature airbrushing, but if you've got one of these and you figured out how to use this properly, I figured like highlighting edges, like say on Eldar, I figured stuff like that, but it tends to damage the paint, to tell you the truth. Typically, I either run with the spray or the prong. I find these to be the best for me. All right, now earlier I was talking about the versatility of this airbrush when it comes to, because there's like 4 or 5 different tips for it. 0.15, 0.2, 0.3, and 0.4 millimeter, and there may be a 0.5 millimeter that's available for this. So you can really do damn near anything you want with this one airbrush. Now we'll go over switching out the parts. Simply you unscrew this and this loosens the needle. The needle slides out like so. Then you're going to, don't take off the prong, you're going to unscrew the entire unit, like so. Now you've taken your nozzle off, now you have the plain chassis. Now, first thing I usually do is put the nozzle back on for the other one. Now this is the 0.15 millimeter nozzle. If you get the Infinity 2-in-1, which I highly recommend, you get this as well, and you just screw it on. like this. Now, a little bit of a tip, if you're finding that you're still having a little bit of leakage, if you take a little bit of, you can either take something like needle juice and put it on the threads, or you can grab some chapstick, which my tube in here is AWOL. Take a little bit of chapstick and put it on the threads, and it'll keep air from seeping through. If you're seeing bubbles in the cut, that's probably what's happening. Get a little bit of air leaking back through. So, now simply, the second part of switching over, let's put the needle in, or the tip in there. I'm going to pull the needle out. Now, if you're new to airbrushing and you're wanting to get into an airbrush, here's a little tip for you. Anytime that you put a needle into an airbrush, for one, be very super careful and guide it in, because this is the most fragile part of the airbrush. Then as you're sliding it in, hold down the needle or the air to allow it to slide all the way in nice and easy. Don't force it, but make sure it's in there snug, and then tighten this down. Let up, and I managed to not get the needle through. And there you go. Needle's now in. That's how easy it is to switch out nozzles, how easy it is to switch out needles. Bada boom, bada bing, and you're done. Then you just slap the butt into it. Now, I will be making a different video going into tearing it down a little bit more, possibly where all the different seals are located, but that's what this tool's for. You insert it like this, and then you just apply a little bit of pressure. Maybe. But anyways, that goes in there and you unscrew it. I got the needle in, so I'm not going to mess with it. But that's the general overview of the Harder and Steenbeck Infinity. It is about $250 to $300 if you find it on discount for the 2-in-1. Now the cool thing is, if you do mix your different airbrushes from Harder and Steenbeck, whether I believe the Gaffo, the Evolution, the Focus, the Grapho, and the Infinity all use the same needles and tips, so they're interchangeable. So you can get the different bodies and play around with whatever you want. Now Infinity does have a CR line. The CR Infinity is Teflon interior, so if you're going to use harsher paints, like some automotive paints and painting your miniatures, that's the one I'd recommend. I think it's about 20 or 30 bucks more. There is a siphon version, which looks really neat. There's also an actual adapter that screws into here and hangs down and turns this into a siphon feed. So like I said, this is your all-in-one. It's 250 bucks. If you're going to do airbrushing, this is the only airbrush that honestly you'll need. End of story. This is the bad boy. To end all bad boys, it's the one that I will recommend if people are looking to spend that much money. Once again, it is 250 bucks. So it is not cheap, but it is very nice. So if you have any questions, you can hit me up over at the Screaming Heretic. That's www.screamingheretic.com. Go to the forums. I am Jin24 there, of course. Also, tune in every couple weeks for my segment, Models Workshop. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Hopefully you've taken some stuff away from this and you've learned. And look forward to having more of these out, hopefully. I'm going to try to do at least 1 or 2 every week or so. But anyways, it's me signing out. You have a good time. Hey everyone, it's Larry again. Just a quick add-on, something I forgot. I just remembered that another neat feature is this right here. Is actually controls the tension, how much tension is is pulled. You can actually dial it out. And it takes less pressure. But this little quick add-on, forgot to in the main video, so